Yeah. So, hello everyone. So, today also we are going live. And yesterday we did questions from AP Calculus AB FRQ 2024. Today we are going to do AP Precalculus FRQ 2024. Since AP Precalculus has been introduced last year itself, so there is only one FRQ that is available on College Board. That is one FRQ that is from previous year questions. So only one PYQ of FRQ is available for pre-calculus that we will be doing today. So again, here also there are two parts, part A and part B. In part A, graphing calculator is allowed. In part B, graphing calculator is not allowed. There are total 4 questions, 2 questions in part A and 2 questions in part B. And so now we'll start. And also I want to apologize for the audio issues in the MCQ test that we did a while back. So I will try to do it again so that you can have better audio quality and better understanding of the concepts. So AP Pre-Calculus free response questions. What just happened? Okay. So like I told you, there are FRQ is known as a section 2. And again, there are 2 parts. Part A, it is of 30 minutes. And there are 2 questions. So for one question, you will get 15 minutes. Just give me a second. Yeah, my digital pad was not working. So I had to unplug it. Yeah. So yeah, it's section 2nd, part A. 30 minutes, 2 questions. Graphing calculator is required for these questions. So let's jump directly to the first question. So this is the first question and there is this diagram. So first we will just have the diagram with us all over the question so that we won't have to go back and forth. So let me just do that. Yeah. So here we have the diagram and now we can see the question. All right. So this is the entire question. There's a diagram and we also have the white board where you can write the answers. The figure shows the graph of the function f on its domain of negative 3.5 to x to 3.5. The points negative 3, 1, 0, 1 and 3, 1 are on the graph. We can see negative 3, 1, yes, it is there. 0, 1 is also there and 3, 1 is also there. Yeah. The function g is given by g of x 2.916 times 0.7 to the power x. So g of x is your exponential function, as we can see, and it's a decaying exponential function because the value of b, the factor is 0.7, which is less than 1. So now in part A, the function h is defined by h of x, which is g of f of x. It's a composite function. We have to find the value of h of 3 as a decimal approximation or indicate that it is not defined. So for f of x, the values are given. G of x is given as 2.916. (0.7 to the power x). Now in part A, first part, h of x is g of f of x. And 3 values are given to us. F of 0 is 1, f of -3 is also 1 and f of 3 is also 1. So at -3, 0 and 3, the y value is 1. Sorry about that. So now we have to find h of 3. H of 3 would be g of f of 3. F of 3 is 1. So this is equal to g of 1. And now because graphing calculator is given to us, h of 3 is g of 1. So I will just go to Desmos, enable it. Diagram for now, I'll get rid of. And now we just have to find g of 1. So g of x is 2.916. Zero 0.7 to the power 1 is just this much. So the answer is 2.0412. 2.0412. This is our answer. That is it. The first part is done. In the second part, find all values of x for which f of x is equal to 1 or indicate there are no such values. So for this part, we'll look at the diagram. And over here, when you make a horizontal line from y is equal to 1, it is passing through -3, 1 and 3. So f of x is 1 at -3, 0 and 3. So for the second part, f of x is equal to 1 when x is equal to -3, 0 and 3. These are all values of x. And that is it. We're done with the answer over here as well. Alright, so you just have to put a horizontal line at y is equal to 1. And when you do that, you can see it's going to intersect at -3, 0 and 3. Now part B, find all values of x as decimal approximations for which g of x is equal to 2 or indicate that there are no such values. So in part B, first question, we are finding where g of x is equal to 2. Because the equation is given for g of x, so I don't need the diagram, I would need the calculator. So I think I'll need more of it. So let me get it up. I will also need to see the graph. So 2.916 times 0.7 to the power x, we can see the graph and we want to see where g of x is equal to 2. So I will write in the next line g of x is equal to 2. And now you can see it is meeting at only one point, that is 1.05717. It is not meeting anywhere else. So 1.05717. So you have to find all values of x. So there's only one value of x, which is 1.05717. $1.05717. That's the answer. So these are pretty easy questions because calculator is allowed to you. So you just have to write it and write very equal to because it is approximation. Now what are they asking in the second part? In the second part, they want to know determine the end behavior of G as x increases without bound. Okay, so when x increases without bound, that means we're talking about positive infinity when x goes to positive infinity. So again, if you look at the graph, so when x is going to positive infinity, y is approaching 0. And that is true. Why? Because this is decaying graph. All right. So that is what I can write as x increases without bound. G of x approaches 0. And I will hide the graph so that you can see the entire thing that I'm writing over here. X is increasing. Increasing means it is just increasing, going to the right side. And without bound means it's positive infinity. And if I want to write it, it will be limit x tends to positive infinity. G of x is going to 0. This is your answer. All right, again, a very simple question. You just have to find the end behavior. And because over here, graphing calculator is allowed, so you don't need to worry about anything. You just need to graph it and see the end behavior. Now C part, determine if f has an inverse function. So we want to know about f, so we will need the diagram. So for inverse function, it should pass vertical test, which it is passing, and it should also pass the horizontal line test, which it is not passing. It is not passing horizontal line test because when you make horizontal line, it is meeting the graph at several points. So f cannot have inverse function. So for C, first part, I will say that f does not have an inverse function. Because when you look at the graph, when you make horizontal line, it is meeting at several points. So it fails the horizontal line test. That is why it cannot have a inverse. You just want to determine. So first part is done. Second part, give a reason for your answer based on the definition of a function and the graph of y is equal to f of x. So in the second part, you have to give a reason. When we take inverse of f, we'll be having, because we had 0, 1, we'll be having 1, 0, 1, -3, 1, 3. For one input of f inverse, there are multiple outputs. Hence, inverse is not possible. Or what I can say, or I can say that the graph fails horizontal line test. Hence, the inverse is not a function. It passes through, when we take inverse of f, it passes through these things, and then you write this thing. For one input of f inverse, there are multiple outputs, hence inverse is not function. Got it? Or if you want, you can make the graph as well. Or you can say the inverse graph fails vertical line test. The graph f, the inverse graph of f fails vertical line test. Hence, the inverse is not a function. Because for inverse, you just have to switch x and y values. So at -3, it is 1, so it will become 1 comma -3. And then at -2, it is approximately -1. So at -1, you are having -2. At 0, it is 1, so at 1, it is 0. So it will look something like that. This is f inverse, this is x, and it fails the vertical line test. I hope all the points are clear now. So this is the reason that inverse is not a function. Okay? Let me make it a little smaller so that you can see. Oh, still you cannot see. Let me make it a little more smaller. I think now you can see everything. All right. So f does not have an inverse function. When we take inverse of f for 1, when we take inverse of f, it passes through 1, 0, 1, -3, 1, 3, because in inverse you switch x and y. So for one input of f inverse, there are multiple outputs, hence inverse is not function. The graph f fails horizontal line test, hence inverse is not a function. The inverse graph of f fails vertical line test, hence the inverse is not a function. You can write any of these things, and with this, question number 1, part C is also done. And that is it. Now we will move to the second question. Question number 2. We don't need this diagram anymore, so I will get rid of the diagram. On the initial day of sales, t is equal to 0 for a new video game. There were 40,000 units of the game sold that day. Okay, 40,000 units of the game were sold on the first day. 91 days later, t is equal to 91, there were 76,000 units of game sold that day. The number of units of the, so I will write this down. At t is equal to 0, there are 40,000, and t is equal to 91. T is equal to 91. It is 76. The number of units of the game sold on a given day can be modeled by the function g. So I will say g is 40 over here and g is 76 over here. And we can also include 1000. And g is given by g of t is equal to a plus b ln t plus 1. G of t is equal to a plus b ln t plus 1. Where G of t is the number of units sold in 1000 on day t since the initial day of the sales. So I will not write 1000 because G is telling that it is in thousands. That is why I was skeptical about writing 1000 beforehand as well. Now, what is the question asking? Part A is saying use a given data to write two equations that can be used to find the values for constants A and B in the expression for G of t. Okay. So in part A, first part, we have to write two equations. So the first equation will be G of 0 is equal to A plus B ln 0 plus 1. G of 0 is 40, so 40 is equal to A plus B ln 1. ln 1 is 0, so 40 is equal to A. Now the second equation would be G of 91, because when t is equal to 91, we are seeing the value A plus B ln 91 plus 1. This is 76. 76 is equal to, if you don't know, you can also write this as equation 1, depends, okay? 76 is equal to A plus B ln 92. This is my second equation. Got it? Yeah. So the first equation is 40 is equal to A plus B ln 1. Second equation is 76 is equal to A plus B ln 2. Find the values for A and B as decimal approximations. So in second part, you can see that A is 40. Okay, because ln 1 is 0. And from here, we will get 76 is equal to 40 plus B ln 92. So 76 minus 40. 36 is equal to B ln 92 divided by ln 92 divided by ln 92. So B is equal to 36 over ln 92. And we can use calculator to find this. So I'm going to use Desmos. So 36 divided by ln 92. 7.961. So B is approximately 7.961. The other way that you can do is, I will also tell you that. So now again, for that we'll be using Desmos. And over here, I'll be writing the two equations. And because Desmos does not understand A and B, so instead of A, I will be writing X. And instead of Y, I will be writing, instead of B, I will be writing Y. So first equation is G of 0 is 40 is equal to A plus B ln 1. So like I told you, it does not understand A and B, so I'll be replacing them with X and Y. Now the second equation would be 76 is equal to X plus Y ln 92. Okay. Got it? So it's okay if you do not want to solve it by yourself. You can just put this in your graphing calculator. And now if you look at, you can see the point of intersection. So the value of X, that is A, is 40. Y, that is B, is 7.961. And that is it. That is how we get our answers. So I've also shown you how you can do completely by using the graphing calculator. These are your two equations. Yeah. Now with this, the first part is done. A is 40, B is approximately 7.961. Now the part B. So in part B, what are they asking? They're asking Use the given data to find the average rate of change of the number of units sold. Actually, do I need to? Yeah, I should. So that you can see the entire B part. Yeah. This is nice. Um, hmm. So now in B part, just want to see the equation. A plus B ln T plus 1, A 0, 92. Correct. Yeah. So we have to find average rate of change from T is equal to 0 to T is equal to 91. So at T is equal to 0, G is 40, that means the point is 0, 40. At T is equal to 91, G is 76, that means the point is 91, 76. Now average rate of change it is going to be G of M minus G of N. I'm just using random variables. I'm not using A and B over here because they are used for the approximations of the function. So this should be 76 minus 40 over 91 minus 0. And this thing also we can directly put in Desmos. And we can get average rate of change. You also have to show the computations that led to your answer. So we have shown the computations as well. So over here we are simply doing 76 minus 40, which is 36, divided by 91 minus 0. So 0.3956. 0.3956. This is our average rate of change. And I can call it AORC. I hope you got it. So now we just had to find average rate of change for the first part. So B1, we are just finding average rate of change. Now in the second part, use the average rate of change found in first to estimate the number of units of the video game sold in thousands on day T is equal to 50. So now we'll assume that average rate of change is same. So in second part, at T is equal to 0, G is 40. When T is equal to 50, you have to find how much is G. So again, I will write the formula for average rate of change, AORC. It is G of M minus G of N over M minus N. Now in this case, it is G, I do not know what is G, so I will write G minus 40 over 50 minus 0. And AORC is given as 0.3956. G minus 40 over 50. So we will again use Desmos to get our calculations right. So in Desmos, I will call this the average rate of change, which is M. And M is equal to Y minus 40 divided by 50 minus 0. Okay, it is weird. So basically you will have to do m times 50 plus 40, which is 59.78. Got it? From here, G minus 40 would be 50 times 0.3956, my bad. And G would be 50 times 0.3956 plus 40. Eventually, it is a linear function, so you could have also written y is equal to mx plus b, where m slope is going to be average rate of change. So from here, we are getting that G of 50 is approximately, because you want the approximate answer, it is going to be 60,000, because 59.78 you can say is approximately 60,000. Okay. So over here you can say it is approximately, write the actual answer also, 59.78. Yeah. So it is approximately 60,000. Do not forget to write 1,000, because they want the answer in thousands. Okay. Number of units of the video game sold in thousands. So yeah, you do not need to write thousands, because yeah, they're already mentioning it. But it doesn't take any thing to write the answer, so you can write 60,000s. All right. The number in thousands is 60, approximately number. Or if you want, you can also write 59.78. That is also completely fine. So this is the second part. Now third part is let AT represent the estimate of the number of video games sold in thousands using the average rate of, oh, so this is A of T. So I'm going to write it AT. In the first one, it will be G of M minus G of N. Okay, so let AT represent represent the estimate of number of units of the video game sold in thousands using the average rate of change found in one. Okay. For A50 found in second, it can be shown that A50 is less than G of 50. Explain why in general AT is less than G of T for all T, where 0 to T is less than 91. So this is A50. I will write A50 over here. Okay, AT is what we are getting from the first part. So the reason for the third one is, like I told you, AORC is going to be AT minus 40 over T minus 0. So 36 over 91. 36 over 91 is your AORC. So 36 over 91 is equal to AT minus 40 over T. So from here, 36 over 91t is equal to 80 minus 40. And if you add 40, 80 is actually 36 over 91t plus 40. So 80 is a linear function. Whose rate of change is constant. But g of t is an exponential function. Yeah. Actually, it is not an exponential function, it's a logarithmic function if we look at it. G of t is your logarithmic function. And when you graph it, because we have to see from 0 to 91. Yeah. So a of t is how much? 36 over 91 times x plus 40. And the next one is 40 plus the value of b was how much? If we look at over here, 7.961. Seven point nine six one. Ln t plus 1, because graphing calculator is allowed, we'll make use of it. So if you see from 0 to 91, the exponential graph, the g of x is above a of t. In the graphs, over 0 to 91, g of t is above 80 at all times. Hence 80 is less than g of t over the interval 0 to t to 91. Okay. And because logarithmic function is initially, it increases faster than it decreases later on. All right, so we'll just say that from the graph, we can see that AT is less than G of T. The makers of the video game reported that daily sales of the video game decreased each day after T is equal to 91. So if you look at the graph again, sorry, if you move it towards after 91, the model is still increasing. So what is the question trying to ask? The makers of the video game reported that daily sales of the video game decreased each day after T is equal to 91. Explain why the error in the model G increases after T is equal to 91. Because in the model G, what is happening after T is equal to 91? It is still increasing, but the makers are reporting that the sales of the video game decreased. So actual values are actually decreasing, whereas in model G, the predicted values are increasing. So that is why the error is going to increase. Got it? Because if you look at this diagram, it is not decreasing, it is increasing. It's a black graph. All right. So that is how we are going to frame our answers. So in part C, the actual values of the video games or I would say the actual sales of the video game decreased after T is equal to 91. But the predicted sales of the video game kept increasing according to the model G. Because the gap between the actual and predicted sales kept on increasing, because of this, the gap between actual and predicted values kept increasing. Hence, the error increases. So these are all just theory questions. So you just have to write the explanation and that is it. So this is part C, because the actual sales of the video game decreased because that is what the makers told us. But according to the model G, the sales are still increasing. So the gap will keep on increasing, and that is why between the actual and the predicted sales, and that is why the error will keep on increasing. So that is the solution. And why 80 was less than G of T from 0 to 91, we could see from the graph that 80 was smaller and G of T was higher because it had higher Y values. Now with this, the first section is over. That was the graphing calculator section. Part A is over of section 2. And now we will be doing the second part B of section 2. It is also of 30 minutes. There are again 2 questions over here, but no calculator is allowed for these questions. So let's quickly dive through them as well, because there are only 2 questions. So again, 30 minutes are given to us. Now over here, let me just go, yeah, perfect. The tire of a car has a radius of 9 inches. So for the safety, what I will do, I will move the diagram so that we can read the question and we have the diagram as well. Yeah. So this is the diagram and now I can read the question. So the tire of a car has a radius of 9 inches and a person rolls the tire forward at a constant rate on level ground as shown in the figure. Point W on the edge of the tire touches the ground at time t is equal to 1/2 second. So at time t is equal to 1/2 second, point W is at the ground. That means the distance from the ground is 0. The tire completes a full rotation and the next time W touches the ground is at time t is equal to 5/2 seconds. The maximum height of W above the ground is 18 inches. That is understandable because the radius is 9, so it is going to be at the diameter level. That is why it is 18 inches. As a tire rolls, the height of W above the ground periodically increases and decreases. The sinusoidal function h models the height of point W above the ground in inches as a function of time t in seconds. So we will also do that. Over here, what is happening? If I make, yeah, it's my cat. Sit. Yeah. I'm making the diagram over, yeah, I'll make the diagram over here so I'm able to draw the graph over there. This is your circle, this is the ground. This is the center point. And this is the maximum it can go. Alright, this is 0. This is 9 because radius is 9 inches. And this is another 9 which is 18 because diameter is going to be 18 inches. And now if you look at it, at t is equal to 1/2 second, it is at 0 because it is touching the ground. So at t is equal to 1/2, you are over here. And then next time it touches the ground is at time is equal to 5/2 seconds. So at 5/2 seconds, we're again back over here. Alright. Meanwhile, during that time, what will happen? The tire is going to go up. It is going to go at 9 inches and 18 inches and again back at 9 inches and again at 0 inches. Alright. So let's complete the diagram. So, yeah. So it's going to go up, go up, okay, let's see what is going to happen. At t is equal to 1/2, it is over here. At some point, it will reach here. And then at some point, it will reach here. Some point, it will reach here again at 9. And then it will reach the ground again. So I will make this 5/2. And so the graph is looking like this. Because from 0 to then you're going to 9, then you're going to 18, then you're coming back to 9, and then you're coming back to 0. And then again, you'll be doing the same thing. So this is 5 over 2. Yeah, I had taken it too far. And still it is not symmetric, but yeah, you get the gist of it, how it is going to look. Yeah. So this is what we have done based on the question. Now what they are asking in part A, let's see that. So the graph of H and its dashed midline for 2 full cycles is shown. 5 points F, G, J, K and P are labeled on the graph. No scale is indicated and no axes are presented. Determine possible coordinates T, H of T for the 5 points. Yeah. And from here, if you see, the period is going to be 2. Because if you add 2 to 1/2, you will get 5/2. So the period is 2. Alright. And now what is the graph that they've given to us? It is like this. There is a midline and we are going back here. Okay. This is point F. This is point G. This is point J. This is point K. And this is point P. So if I say J is at 1/2, then that would be not correct because the full period is 2. That means that will be 0, that will be -1/2. And time, we do not, we can't show that time is negative. Okay. So if it is taking like 2 seconds to complete the entire thing, because it's starting at 1/2 and it's coming back at 5 seconds, that means over here it will be in 1/2 of a second, and then here it will be in 1 second, because that is 1/2 of the full rotation. And this is 1/4 of the full rotation, so this will be 1/2. So through that, I can first make my diagram. So this is going to be at 1. The maximum point is going to be 1.5, that is 3 over 2. This point is going to be at 2, and this is going to be 2.5. So what I will do is, I can give any values right now. There's no condition over there. So what I will do, I cannot take 1/2 at the origin when W is touching the ground, because then you will get negative values of T. So what I will do, I will take 5/2. All right. So this I will take 5/2, 0. Then this point will be 5/2 minus 1/2 is going to be 2. So this is going to be 2, 9. This point is going to be 3/2, 18. And this point, now I can write 3, 9. This I can write as 7 over 2, 18. This would be 4, 9. And this could be 9 over 2, 0. F, G, J, K, P. So I've given all the values. All right. And that is all you have to do. Determine possible coordinates T, H of T for the 5 points F, G, J, K, and P. So from here, I can say that F is 3/2, 18. G is 2, 9. J is 5/2, 0, because either it is going to be 1/2 or either it is going to be 5/2. You can go further also, but 1/2 doesn't make any sense because time, negative time does not make any sense. And then k is going to be 3, 9, and p is going to be 7 half, 18. F and P are going to have the y value of 18. J is going to have the y value of 0. G and K are going to have the y value of 9. Alright. And because the entire period is 2, so each 1/4 of cycle will be of 1/2 seconds. So part A is done. Yeah. Now in the next part, what do they want to know? The function h can be written in the form h of t is equal to a sine b of t plus c plus d. Find the values of constants a, b, c, and d. A sine b of t plus c plus d. Okay, so for this, I'll have to look at the graph. So over here, we can see the amplitude is 9, correct? So if amplitude is 9, the value of A is going to be amplitude is 9, so the value of A can be 9 or negative 9. Now for midline is y is equal to 9 because it is h is equal to 0, h is equal to 9, and h is equal to 18. So midline is h is equal to 9. So the value of d is also 9. Now period is given as 2. So 2 pi over b is the period, it is 2. So from here b is pi. Okay. Now we just have to find the phase shift. So now the sine graph, it should start from here. If you look at normally sine graph. So this point should have been 0, but now it is at 3. That means just give me a second. I can make the unit circle as well. This is the midline, no? I can take 1/2, 0. This will be 1, 9. This would be 3/2, 18. And this point is 2, 9. This point is yeah. So it should have been 0, but right now it is at 1. That means there's a phase shift of 1 to the right. Got it? Or if you're taking these values exactly, then there's a phase shift of 3. So phase shift of 3, phase shift of 1 is the same thing because what is the value at 1 is going to be the value at 3. So I can say that C is equal to -1. So now h of t can be written as 9 sine pi t minus 1 plus 9. Why? Because when you put t is equal to 1, it will be sine 0, 9 plus 9. Here. When you put t is equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. All right. And so it's just going to be 9. When you put 3 halves, 3 halves minus 1 is 1 half. So 9 plus 9, you will get 18. When you put 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. So sin pi is again 0, you will get 9. And when you put 1, 5 half as well, then you're going to get 5 half minus 1 is 3 halves. So negative 9, negative 9 plus 9 is 0. So I think this equation works. We can also take 3, it doesn't matter. Because the period is 2, so 3, 1, they all mean the same thing. And this is a unit circle because we're trying to find out at what we are having what values. So yeah, that is it. We are done. And now we're done with the second part. Now this third part as well. All right. So the function can be 9 sine pi t minus 1 plus 9. You can also do t minus 3 as I'm saying it again because t minus 3, t minus 1 means the same thing because period is 2. So now part C refer to the graph of h. So we have the graph over here. The t coordinate of k is t1, t coordinate of p is t2. On the interval, which of the following is true? So it is obviously positive because height is 0 over there. This is 9 and this is 18. And let me just see if height is from ground or something else. Because sometimes they can also... Yeah, h is the height above the ground. Correct. So now in this part, they want to know which of the following is true about h from t1 to t2. It is increasing and it is positive. So see, first part is positive and increasing because the function is increasing as you can see from the graph. So it is option A. Alright, because they want to know from K to P. K to P it is increasing and it is positive. Describe how the rate of change is changing. So if you look at from K to P, it is a concave down. K to P, rate of change is decreasing. And why we can say that? Because it is concave down and concave down means rate of change is decreasing. Because graph is concave down. If it were concave up, then the rate of change will be increasing. Yeah, that's about it. The rate of change of h is changing on the interval t1 to t2. So on interval t1 comma t2, rate of change is decreasing. So the third part is also done. Yeah, and with this, question number 3 is done. Now we'll be moving to question number 4. So I don't need the diagram anymore. So directions unless otherwise specified. So C part is pretty easy. B part you have to see everything from the graph. And A part also you have to find out the points. So we do not want time to be negative. That is why we are starting from 5 halves over here. Otherwise, you could have also started from 1 half. Then it would be 0, then it would be negative 1 half. All right? And then that would be 1. Unless otherwise specified, the domain of function F is assumed to be the set of all real numbers, x for which f of x is a real number. Okay. Angle are assumed to be in radians. Solution must be real numbers. Determine the exact value of any expression that can be obtained without a calculator. For example, log base 2, 8 will be 3, cosine pi over 2 is 0, sine inverse of 1 is pi over 2. It can be evaluated without a calculator. Unless otherwise specified, combine terms using algebraic methods and rules for exponents and logarithms wherever applicable. Okay. For each part of the question, show the work that leads to your answers. So they were just general instructions. Now the question is saying part A, function g and h are given by g of x is e to the power x plus 3, h of x is arc sine x over 2. Arc sine means sine inverse. Solve g of x is equal to 10 for values of x in the domain of g. So now no calculator is allowed, so we'll have to do all the work by ourselves. G of x is e to the power x plus 3 and h of x is arc sine x over 2. So first part, g of x is equal to 10. That means e to the power x plus 3 is equal to 10. Now you can take log on both sides or convert it into log. To log form, it would be x plus 3 is equal to ln 10 minus 3 minus 3. X is going to be ln 10 minus 3. And you cannot get the value of ln 10 directly. So this is our solution and this is our answer. That is it. Now we have to solve h of x is equal to pi over 4. So h of x is equal to pi over 4. And now arc sine x over 2 will be equal to pi over 4. Got it? Now what is domain of h? First let's find out that for arc sine, the domain is from -1 to 1. Okay, yeah. So from here arc sine x over 2 is equal to pi over 4. That means sine pi over 4 is equal to x over 2. Because this is sine inverse, you take sine on both sides, it will become sine pi over 4. This will just be x over 2. So sine pi over 4 is how much? It is square root 2 over 2. And that is equal to x over 2. From here x is equal to square root 2. That is your answer. So pretty simple, just the equations you have to solve. Now the second part. Yeah, the domain is from -1 to 1, but because it is x over 2, so over here domain will be from -2 to 2. That is why square root 2 is an applicable answer. All right. Now in part B, the functions j and k are given by j of x is equal to log base 10 8x squared 8x to the fifth plus log base 10 2x squared minus 9 log base 10x. Okay. And k of x is 1 minus sine squared x over sine x times sec x. All right. Rewrite g of x as a single logarithm base 10 without negative exponents in any part of the expression. Your result should be of the form log base 10. Okay, so let's do that. So we will apply the properties of logs. So if logs are added, that means arguments have to be multiplied. And if logs are subtracted, that means arguments have to be divided. And if some number is multiplied, first we'll bring it over here. So this will first become log base 10, 8x to the 5th, plus log base 10 2x squared, minus log base 10 x to the 9th. And now we can combine these two together. This would be log base 10 because they are added. You will multiply them 8x to the 5th times 2x squared minus log base 10x to the 9th because they are subtracted, so you will divide them. So log base 10, 8x to the 5th times 2x squared over x to the 9th. And now we'll simplify it. This is log base 10, 8 times 2 is 16, x to the 5 times x to the 2 is x to the 7 over x to the 9. And you do not want negative exponents, that is given to you, so it will become x squared on the bottom. So this is log base 10, 16 over x squared. This is our answer. Okay. Now in the second part, you want to rewrite kx as a single term involving 10x. Okay, let's do that. So k of x is 1 minus sine squared x over sine x times sec x. Now 1 minus sine squared x can be written as cosine squared x over sine x, and secant x can be written as 1 over cosine x. So this would become cosine x over sine x because this cosine will cancel one of the cosines. Now tangent is sine over cosine, it's its reciprocal. So k of x is going to be 1 over 10x, and that is our answer. Got it? So k of x is 1 over 10x. And for the previous question, g of x was log base 10, 16 over x squared. All right. Now part C, m of x is given as cosine inverse 10 2x m of x is cosine inverse 10 2x. Okay. So they want to find all values in the domain of m that yield an output value of 0. Okay, so output should be 0. So that will become 0 is equal to cosine inverse tan 2x. That means if you take cosine 0, it should be tan 2x. So cosine 0 is achieved at pi over 2. Or my bad, cosine 0 is 1. My bad. Yeah, so we are solving for cosine 0. Cosine 0 value is 1. 1 is equal to tan 2x. And 1 is 10 pi over 4. So that should be equal to tan 2x. And from here, pi over 4 should be equal to 2x. And x should be equal to pi over 8. That is one of the values that we are getting. And now if we take cosine inverse, inside cosine inverse, the values can be from -1 to 1. Okay. And for 10 to x, the domain is all real numbers. No. Okay, yeah. So inside cosine inverse, 10 to x should be from -1 to 1. So we're just trying to find the domain. That means 2x should be from pi over 4 to negative pi over 4, we can say. That means x can be from pi over 4 to pi over 8 to negative pi over 8. But you can also say 3 pi over 4. Okay. So you have to find all the values in the domain of M. So you can keep adding multiples of pi because or you will keep adding tan 2x. The period is going to be here. So we'll find the period of tan 2x. So it is going to be pi over 2. Because for tan x, the period is pi. For tan 2x, period is going to be pi over 2. So the values of x can be pi over 8 plus pi over 2m or pi over 2k, where k is an integer. So now this is going to include all the values in the domain of the function. So you find the first value, cosine 0 is 1. So 2x becomes pi over 4, x becomes pi over 8. But now you have to find all the values in the domain of M. So you can keep adding pi over 2 and you will still get the same functions. Okay. Like the same domain, -1 to 1 for cosine inverse. So x can be from negative pi over 8 plus pi over 2k to pi over 8 plus 2k. So the value of x was pi over 8, but you can also keep adding pi over 2k because you'll keep getting the same value of 1. So that is our final answer. X is equal to pi over 8 plus pi over 2k, where k is any integer. And with that, yeah, we are done. We have done all the questions. Again, if you want to have the solutions, you can let me know. I will share it with you. Yeah. So thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. That is all I can say. Yeah. So that is it. I'll see you soon with some new sample papers, with some new practice tests or some previous year question papers. So please stay tuned and keep learning, keep growing, and keep practicing. So keep learning, keep practicing, and keep growing. That is what Shunyavir promotes. So yeah, and with that, we're done for today. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you soon. And yes, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe because we need subscribers. And good morning to all the American students and good night to all the Indian students. Thank you.